Good Monday morning, everyone. A chilly Monday morning here in Sacramento. Uh, I hope you had a good weekend. Uh, any weekend I survive is a good weekend. Uh, I got a little work done on my new book, and Constance and I tried to do some shopping because we're looking for bookcases, not just bookshelves. I mean, kind of an old-fashioned bookcase or two, small little things, uh, because we're trying to perhaps prepare for like a Monday Night Magic series of classes on the fundamental practice of Enochian magic. That's hopefully we'll be scheduling here, and I'll make the announcement here when the time comes. I've got a lot of good response, and we kind of need those bookcases in order to get the living room cleared enough to have a few chairs if we in case a couple people stop by for that class. Constance was reading something in the last few days where she came up with the concept of what people are trying to describe and trying to explain as the concept of God. Even in English, the word God has a lot of baggage attached to it. One way or another, everybody has unless you belong to a very narrow interpretation of an anthropomorphic guy with a beard in the sky that is particularly interested in one particular nation or group of people, or to the exclusion of the others. That carries with it a lot of baggage. It's more politics than it is religion, and so magicians and people who are into the hermetic arts and things like that, and especially now modern witches and pagans and stuff, when they hear the word God, they're thinking about other people's concept of God as a giant bearded guy with a penis that I don't want to sound disrespectful, but it's really hard not to, But the concept of God, the sort of most generic concept, those of us who at least skim the surface of Eastern mysticism kind of see what we think is a good definition in the term the Tao. Okay, and the Tao is sort of like it doesn't. The Tao has all penises. Okay, it not only has everything. It's the source of everything. But Constance came across a term called the universal purpose. Now that could be a good explanation, or another word for Tao, like in the Tao Te Ching. The universal purpose. And if you inserted the word universal purpose, or the words universal purpose, in place of God, things take on a larger dimension. Like I got the King James version of the Old Testament here. In the beginning, the universal purpose created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the spirit of the universal purpose was moving on the face of the waters. And the universal purpose said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And the universal purpose saw that the light was good. And the universal purpose separated the light from the darkness. The universal purpose called the light day, and the darkness it called night. And there was the evening, and there was the morning of the first day. Okay, you get where I'm coming from. The universal purpose, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. But anyway, that's something to think about. And the reason I'm thinking about that too is because I like to think about things in a language, in a vocabulary that is at least currently familiar to me and comfortable for me to put things in perspective, and that is the just general Kabbalistic vocabulary to explain things that can't be explained otherwise. And I call that universal purpose. And I think the Rabbi Lamed Ben Clifford first coined the phrase, at least as I use it, the great what it is. What it is. In the beginning, what it is created the heavens and the earth. Okay, that works for me. What it is, I kind of hyphenate it. And in trying to describe the evolution of the classic diagram of the tree of life as an example of sort of an explanation of how the singularity turns into every freaking thing and every freaking thing in between, I made up a little fairy tale. Okay, I'm going to share the fairy tale with you. It's so this is Lon Milo DuQuette's little fairy tale. The tree of life, or how 10 kinds of everything came out of nothing, because the great God, what it is, started thinking about itself. A fairy tale for babes and sucklings. Once upon before there was time, God, whom we will call the great what it is, brooded blissfully alone in a boundless sea of its absolute absoluteness. Because great what it is was so absolutely singular, it had no need to be aware of the condition of its own existence. Why bother? After all, in order for the great what it is to even begin speculating about itself, it would first need to arouse itself from its state of seamless singularity and create some kind of internal reflection to ponder. Such an audacious disturbance would radically unsettle its smooth condition of singularity and create an artificial second state, one that could accommodate two ideas: a knower and a something for the knower to know. For reasons wisest sages dare not speculate, great what it is persisted in its desire to know itself. It voluntarily shattered its infinite smoothness and projected upon the center of itself its own reflection, thereby begetting a second condition. Voila! Great what it is became self-aware. Number 2 was born. "Oh, that's what I am," the great what it is shouted, and for the first time heard the echo of its own voice, and realized the presence of that along with its I am. The presence of a that along with the I am. Melancholy Kabbalists call this moment the fall, or the wrong of the beginning. But that's not where the beginning ends. Because simultaneously, along with the birth of number 2, a third condition instantly popped on the scene. This brand new third condition was not the self or the reflection, but the knowledge or the recognition that there's a difference between the voice and the echo, between the I am and the that. The third condition is the realization that the one is not the two. Oh, that's what I am, but that's not me. Now number 1 was no longer a simple, uncomplicated singularity. Number 1 was now a trinity unit, a supernal triad. A supernal triad. Don't worry, I'm not going to go all the way down the tree this morning. Number 1, the self. Number 2, the reflection. Number 3, the knowledge or realization that the self, that the not self is not the self. Number 1, thinking about itself. Oh, that's what I am, but that's not me. That supernal triad's a pretty big thing. And even the most primitive, superstitious world religions can't seem to escape the fundamental importance of the supernal triad. Kabbalists call the supernal triad of 1, 2, and 3, quote, the supernal triad. Technically, the supernal triad isn't 3 separate numbers, but a single unit of 3 conditions. 1, 2, and 3 are too abstract and transcendently codependent to qualify as ordinary numbers, or levels of existence, or levels of consciousness. There isn't even room for a here or a there in the supernal triad. Only facets or qualities of an infinite singularity, a bubbling pool of pure potentiality, a universal condition. This is why, for tarot readers, the aces and the 2s and the 3s all seem to be wonderfully strange and profound and often a bit inscrutable. But I digress. The supernal triad is as mysterious as the Holy Trinity. In fact, the Supernal Triad is the Holy Trinity. It's the supreme singularity, God trying to think about itself. And while the Supernal Triad is, as it were, the mother of what will be creation, it is not creation itself. Just like in the Tao Te Ching, the Tao is maybe the mother of everything, but it's not everything. It's not the everything. Okay. The myriad creatures. Okay. I'll repeat that. And while the supernal triad is, as it were, the mother of what will be creation, it's not creation itself. Our limited brains are forced to think of the supernal triad as somehow existing in an imaginary state of pure potentiality, in a non-dimensional gelatin state of pre-existence. Now, obviously, there's two more triads below the supernal triad, and then down at the bottom of the tree of life, there's Malkuth just sort of dangling there like a well, as I always say, a dingleberry at the butt of the universe. But let me just go on just a little bit more here. The two triads below the abyss, and I'm only going to talk about the first one, really. But the two triads below the abyss we call the macrocosm. Or at least that's one definition of the term macrocosm. There's various ways. But the two triads below the abyss. Okay, all right. Two triads below the abyss. There's the abyss right there. Two triads below the abyss. Look how the second triad is just flipped. It's a reflection, just like a mirror image. And the third triad is just a duplicate. So can you see the dynamics that made one reflect into two? There's the reflection of the whole triad. And when three instantly comes with the creation of two, there's the replication. So that's not flipped, it's just repeated. And here we are in Sacramento. For creation, as we commonly understand the word, to actually manifest in order for our familiar cosmos of quantifiable matter and energy to exist in time and space, in order for there to be elbow room for gods and archangels, angels, powers, principles, planets, stars, forces, elements, and birds and bees, in order for existence to exist. The supernal triad as a single unit must reflect itself. Now, just as number one didn't actually go anywhere when its reflection was projected as number two, the supernal triad never stops being the supernal triad. It doesn't go anywhere. But its reflection passes, as it were, through a looking glass abyss to create a three-part echo of itself. Just as I don't go anywhere when I give a certain flat dimensional life to my ruggedly handsome reflection in the bathroom mirror, so too a second triad of 4, 5, and 6 takes on a semblance of life below the abyss. The below the abyss reflection of the supernal triad. So when you think about it that way, your consciousness identifying with the macrocosm, or even worse, the microcosm of number 10, is actually believing that you are the true life form, when just like the reflection in the bathroom mirror would think it's the real you. That's how life is below the abyss. And until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.